What is up, and welcome to another episode of the Voice of the Black and Gold. I'm your host, Nick Chastain, your go-to podcast for all things LAFC right here at the Voice of the Black and Gold. I have my buddies here with me, Edward and Will from MLS Moves. Guys, Club World Cup, just has absolutely kicked off right now. LAFC look great, in my opinion. A lot of people are bashing them, but listen, when you're playing a $1.6 billion club, and here you are sitting at $50 million, and you walk away with a 2-0 draw. The way that we started the game looked great. Yes, there was a little bit of a mishap with Ryan Hollingshead. I completely understand. And I see a lot of people are saying excuses, 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 but these are valid excuses. When the pay rosters do not mix, but yet you still can keep a giant team like Chelsea to only 2 goals, 1 in each quarter. I think LAFC looked pretty good, guys. I'm feeling good about what we're seeing at the Club World Cup. The MLS teams have made a move. I feel like we are seeing MLS being looked at a different light right now, and we're going to be here to break it down. Again, Edward, Will, thank you guys for being here with me. Edward, I'm going to start with you, man.
Okay.
As I said, 2-0, LAFC gets a loss, but I'm still sitting here feeling good. How are we feeling, man?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for bringing me on to talk about the team. I feel good, but at the same time, a little disappointed because I was hoping we could, pull a draw out at least. But I'm proud of the guys. They came out, showed a lot of heart, played tough. They didn't back down from anything. Chelsea had to earn every single goal they got, every single inch, every single possession. I felt at the beginning of the game, they looked a little nervous. A lot of the passes, especially in the final third, got sloppy. Especially with Mobisi missing that big pass to Ordaz cutting on the right side. I think he really blew that pass, and that was a big opportunity for us. And playing against Chelsea, you don't get many opportunities. So when you have the ball, you really got to take care of it. You really got to be disciplined, especially in the middle of the field. And then, in the second half, they really got more comfortable in the game, started getting to their own. We got some shots off, and at the end, they showed a lot of heart, and that's all I could ask for. They've done better than other teams did against them. So I'm just glad they showed up today.
No, absolutely, Will. We were on the live stream. We were waiting for that goal to come in, to Edward's point. It felt like we were going to get it. It just never came. But talk to me a little bit about what you've seen from this LAFC side.
Yeah, obviously it's been a couple hours. We've had some time to reflect on what we saw. One of the most important points is Chelsea's roster is worth $1 billion. LAFC is worth $50 million. I think the most impressive thing with LAFC was their defensive organization. I feel like they played really well in trying to eliminate Chelsea in the attack, especially with the talent they had. Cole Palmer, one of the best players in the Premier League in the world, really wasn't as effective as he normally is. And they did a good job. Aaron Long, Segura, Ryan Hollingshead, minus that one fumble he had where he didn't mark Neto. Besides that, he had a really good game, especially considering he's like 33, 34 years old. I just was very impressed with the back line. I was impressed with Hugo Lloris. Now the attack was very disappointing. And Bobasé should not be starting anymore, especially in this tournament. He just gives this team absolutely nothing in the attack. Hopefully Nathan Ordaz is healthy. He had to come out in this game, obviously, looked like a concussion. I don't know if that's been confirmed yet. I haven't seen anything one way or the other. But hopefully Dolo makes an adjustment, moves Nathan back up top, because I thought he's played striker a couple of times this year and he's been okay. I thought he was decent when he played up top. And then put David Martinez on the right side. It makes you wonder if they'd had more effective attacking play, how much closer this game could have been. I feel like they had Chelsea right where they wanted them. A lot of people thought this game was going to be ugly, maybe 5-4, maybe even 6-0. I'm not a big moral victory guy. Like, hey, we tried our best, but this is the 4th best team in the Premier League. This is a top 20 team in the world. LAFC obviously are not that good because of the spending. They don't have the resources that this team has. So I think with all that considered, I feel really good about LAFC heading into their match against Tunisia and against Flamengo after what we saw today, if they can find the back of the net. Hopefully they make the adjustments to do that. And then who knows what could happen with this team. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, we're watching the game right now. So 1-0 Flamingo is looking pretty strong right now. Really good. Put out a full lineup for them. And, look, I'm not going to sit here and go on without saying Chelsea did only start 6 of their actual starters. Maybe they weren't taking LAFC for the full threat that they really are. And then to the second half, you've seen that they brought in, as Will mentioned on the live, they brought in a guy that's literally worth the whole entire roster.
More than your entire roster.
Again,
yeah.
I'm going to keep hammering this because it is something to be said, and it's not an excuse. I am also like Will. I am not a participation award guy. I'm not that. I don't want an award for participating. But it's about the quality. And when you have $1 billion roster compared to a 50 million, if they can compete and keep it close without getting blown out, that is a win. Because you're talking about two different caliber teams. And, for our top 4, everybody puts Premier League in the top of their, when they talk about, look, we all might represent different leagues, but everybody knows where the Premier League is. And we know what they say about MLS. And I just don't feel like that's been the case in this first round of these tournaments. I think that we've shown a little bit more that, hey, we should be considered, more than what people and give us a little bit more respect on that. You know what I mean? 65% possession for Chelsea, 35 for LAFC. First half did not feel like that to me at all, Edward. I thought that we had a little bit more possession. And then on the second half, definitely we let them have more possession because we were worried about our defense. But as Will said, I thought our defense looked really good. Again, Hollingshead had a little bit of a mishap, but he got back on it. Aaron Long played really well. It really could have been a 3-0 if it wasn't from Aaron Long. I thought that he played a real stand-up game, especially making that save for us in I think it was a 76th minute he saved from us getting one buried in the back for us. How did you feel about the back line and Aaron Long fitting in?
As far as the defense goes, I was really impressed. I was really impressed by Palencia today. He did an amazing job. I thought all the guys were very aggressive on the ball. Once we lost it, they were trying to fight back just to get it. And, that was really good. Segura and Hollingshead and Palencia and Long did an amazing job in the back line. I think they should all start again. I love the pressure and the energy they gave out today. Yeah, Hollingshead did do that mess up, but then again, he is 34 years old, competing with some of the best players in the world. So you really can't hold him too much to that. He did his best, and we're all not a participation. We all want to see our team win, but at the end of the day, we all want to see our guys play hard, and that's what they did. So
all heart, no quit. And you know what I loved about this, and I was telling Will, and Will, I'll get to you in one second, but Edward, it was like, we've asked for LAFC to show up in big games at the beginning of the whistle. And sometimes we sort of fall short. This was none of that. As soon as the whistle blown, LAFC looked like they were up for the challenge from the get-go. And they never gave up. Even after the second goal goes in, I was literally on his feed saying, I think that we're going to I still feel at the 85th minute that we are going to get one in the back of the net. Like, I still had that hope with the 3 minutes extra time. I was telling Will, I think that we can still get this in the back of the net. Like, it didn't feel like there was any give up on this team whatsoever, Edward.
No, on the defensive end, there was no give up. I just felt like, as far as on the offensive end, we just couldn't find no creation. Again, the passes weren't good. And Bawanga, he got locked up today. I think they really showed levels. We tend to hold Bawanga as one of the greatest, but when we compare him to other guys, best talents around the world, he's sort of average. So I think we need to probably put him more like center and stop putting him so wide, so that maybe he can have more space to create in the middle of the field and not get it so wide on the side.
I mean, Will, I'm looking at the total shots, 17 for Chelsea, 7 for LAFC. But at the halftime, if you remember, it was a 4-1 with LAFC not having any on target. They come out of the game with 6 on target for Chelsea, 4 on target for LAFC. I mean, listen, yes, 7 from 1 isn't much of a difference, but also holding Chelsea to a 17 shot is pretty good, wouldn't you say?
Well, I think that them getting 17 shot attempts is a lot, but only scoring 2 goals is what's impressive about it. And one of the things too you got to think about, because I talked to a couple friends post game just to kind of pick their brain and see what they thought about the match. And Chelsea just has so much depth that LAFC, a lot of these players had to play the full 90 minutes and they were just absolutely gassed. But then Chelsea was able to bring in guys who were better or just as good, if not better, onto the pitch, at 60th minute. So LAFC are having to run for their lives and defend against guys who are equal quality with fresh legs. I think that when they made the adjustment, brought Giroud in, obviously David Martinez came in late in the first half for Nathan Ordaz. You could see there's a difference. There was the 2 chances David Martinez had within like 2 minutes. He had the one chance, and then the one he shot was like way off. Like we were joking about his dribbling being 90 and his shooting being like 30 after that shot attempt. But you just see the potential. And Edward brought something up about maybe having Bouanga play more in the middle. I'd be okay with that. It looked like Chelsea were just really good at eliminating him on the wing. Like as soon as he got the ball, they had 2 guys clamping down on him, really frustrated him. He had a couple chances in space where he had an opportunity. He had the 1 shot on goal, which I feel like that's the typical Denis Bouanga shot where he normally gets it, right? And he obviously wasn't lucky enough to score there. But it is funny how one of the league's best can look so average when they're playing a team this quality, but that's just the difference, right? That's just how much better they are. I really hope that we see some changes, though, that can make this more effective, because you can't just have 1 shot on goal and 1 shot attempt in the first half. You have to have more. Like the 7 shots that we saw needs to be like more evenly spread. Like there needs to be 3 or 4 in the first half or 3 or 4 in the second half. You just can't have it that lopsided. And we talked about this earlier. It makes you wonder what would have been if they had been able to bring in someone else to help this team out. I just don't understand why they didn't do that. Now, some people had said, well, they didn't know for sure they were going to play in the Club World Cup. They were kind of preparing a little bit too late, but I just don't believe that, because John Thorrington should already have this board, like a list of guys he wants for the summer in general. You just get to sign him a little bit earlier. You shouldn't, he should have been prepared for this. So I'm a little disappointed. I feel like there's a lot of meat left on the bone for a lot of these MLS teams, and especially LAFC. So if LAFC, for some reason, doesn't get out of this group and it's just very close, like say that they draw with Flamengo and then Flamengo is able to advance because that, it's going to leave all these LAFC fans wondering, man, what if we'd got that one other guy that could have made the difference and got us to get out of the group stage and put MLS on the map and prove how good this league is?
I think I definitely see where you're coming from. I was not a happy camper that we didn't go and do anything big, but I would have to say that if out of any of the 3 teams that made it, LAFC is one of the ones that did bring in someone, obviously because Under went down. So we brought someone in from over there from Club America. And, look, I think at the end of the day, we are the only team that did. I think the window is just so small, and, trying to find that camaraderie and a guy that will fit in right away within the 2 weeks is probably a little bit harder than we can actually expect. To just expect them to come straight in and jump right into the rhythm and into the system, into the scheme, right? I think that's a little bit probably of why LAFC is the only team to do it and why we didn't bring in that big name. It is what it is.
Can I say one thing, though? This is important, too. Chelsea just signed that D-Lap guy from Ipswich, like literally a week ago or 8 days ago. He came in the game and made an impact immediately. I think if you have a certain quality, you can make an impact. I'm not saying that they're going to be the 100% full version of what they, their best version of themselves of the team, But if you sign a talent, a quality, they can come in and make some sort of impact. I mean, they spent $40 million on this striker, which obviously that's going to get you a certain class, of talent, that maybe is able to just go be 100% running full speed day one. But I just think that if the guy is good enough, he could fit in and make some sort of impact from day one.
Well, look, I'm not saying that it ain't, because Club America has been playing, and obviously we just played them, so it's not like he's not in form. But I do know, like, he wasn't at his best for the last few games, and he had been on the bench for America. And look, that's who we got. And I'm not saying that he won't fit in, and I'm not saying that we won't see him against one of these games come Friday or Tuesday. Great possibility, but maybe it just wasn't right for this particular match. Now let's talk about midfield. I was pretty impressed with the midfield. Who was your standout player for the midfield, Edward?
For me, it would have to be Igor Jesus, man. I mean, since he's gotten on the team, since he started, he's been absolutely amazing. He's been a rock for us. He's been holding it down, the backbone of this team, the spine, and also Tillman also had a really good game too. I love the way he tracked back on defense. He had a big interception in the back end. I forgot which minute it was, but he took it away from a guy, went air long. He helped him out, and I really appreciated that. But if I would have to pick a guy, it would have to be Igor Jesus. He played amazing.
Will, a lot of people bag on Tillman a lot, but I've seen good quality from Tillman, to be completely honest. I'm with Edward right there on that. You can't say enough about Igor, but since he's picked him, I'm not going to, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Tillman and just get your thoughts on it, because I feel like sometimes, look, what was it, a year and a half ago, he said something and really pissed people off, and then we end up losing. I think it was against a Liga MX team. Then we end up losing, and everybody sort of have since then, anytime he does anything, it's like they are quick to throw him under the bus. But I feel like this season he has been good for LAFC in the midfield, and today was no different. He is a solid guy when it comes to the midfield. I like the way that him and Igor play together. I think Delgado is the one that's sort of trying to figure out how to fit in with them two. And them three look good. The midfield looked, they look stable to me. What was your thoughts on LAFC's midfield?
So I genuinely believed that all three guys, Tillman, Jesus, Delgado, all looked equally as good. Now, I think that Delgado made the least amount of mistakes. He had some very good key passes. I remember Igor and Tillman making several plays, couple steals in the midfield, but they also had a couple bad giveaways. They could have been very, very costly for LAFC. But I would say overall, like if I had to like grade the score for the midfield, I'd probably give it like a B or B plus. I think they did really, really well, especially considering who they're going against. But some of those giveaways could have been very, very crucial and bad for the team. Thank God Chelsea wasn't able to capitalize on it. But it just makes you wonder when they play Flamengo, when they play Tunisia, whoever they're playing, if they can fix those mistakes and just be a little cleaner on their passes. There was a moment where when we were watching the game where within 5 minutes they had like 6 giveaways.
Yeah.
And you just can't give the ball away that much.
From the 14th minute to what it was like the right at the 19th minute, I counted 5-6 giveaways. Actually, Delgado had one of the passes that was a really sloppy pass right there. But look, this is nitpicking at this point with such a massive team. Those types of plays aren't going to happen or aren't going to do you any favors as LAFC. Anything that's sloppy, Chelsea is gonna make you pay for it. And those were the ones that just a little bit of mind passing going through their head, and maybe the adrenaline and the moment gets to you for a second, and your foot just doesn't push it as hard as you should. Not making excuses, just the reality of the situation. This is a big scope, and the guys felt it. That's for sure. Let's talk about Cherundolo and his tactics for this, because a lot of people talk about Cherundolo and how he does his defense for the most part. And, look, this is where you really wanted your defense to shine, and this is where it did. It really shined for Cherundolo. But it was interesting to me at the first half. It felt like we were pushing a lot higher and getting them in their out of their comfort zones. And then in the second half is where we really sit back. You think that was designed by Cherundolo because we know how he likes to sit back and park it a little bit more? Edward.
So the second half, like they said, they came into their own, and I was skeptical on the starting lineup because I wanted Giroud to start. I felt like, coming back to Chelsea, he was gonna, maybe have flashbacks and come back into his own. But I think we found out a lot of stuff today about the team, including how Giroud should not be playing anymore. I think his best days are behind him. And I just don't think he brings any value to the team. I really thought today was going to be his day to shine, and he just came up empty again. I feel like even on that last play where Bwanga almost scored in the back post, I feel like he almost looks like a deer in the headlights. He doesn't have that reaction time. He doesn't know where the ball's at anymore. It's just like he's a step slower. He doesn't go out. He doesn't track back. If he plays a false nine, he's not fast enough to go up and play back. And as far as the other guys, they did amazing in the system that Cherundolo did today. I think we found out that Bwanga should maybe be a striker, and they should maybe do a 4-4-2 maybe, and that would probably be better for us. I think that Cherundolo picked the best lineup for today.
Yeah. Okay. So you wanted Giroud to be in there, so you didn't want Bobasi to start.
I didn't want him. I mean, not that Immobile is not good for us. I appreciate everything he's been bringing to the team so far, but I just felt like since Giroud knows the English Premier League, he knows Chelsea, he'll feel more comfortable playing with the guys in the spotlight. And I don't know, he's too old. He's not good for this team anymore.
Oh man, that hurts me over there. We're gonna be a little different on that. We'll hit right after Will talks about it. Will, what did you think about the system that Steve brought into this particular game? The way that it started off, because again, it wasn't a sit back at the first half. You see more sitting back in the second, but the first half he was pushing forward, really different from what we seen from a Steve Cherundolo, especially with such a big team that were going against Chelsea. You would have thought we just would have sit back from the start, but no, we wanted to try something different and then end with the actual Dolo ball.
Yeah, so I think that the one shot can be a little bit misleading, thinking they weren't aggressive, because, when you see one shot on the stat sheet, you're thinking, okay, well, this team didn't get into the final third at all. They didn't get probably past the midfield much, and they did get dominated on possession, but I felt like they were pretty aggressive and they had a lot of opportunities. They just couldn't really even get to the spot where they could get some shots. I like the aggression early on. He wasn't conservative in the early parts of the game. He really went for it, challenged Chelsea, played confident, and you could just tell that it kind of even caught Chelsea a little off guard. They thought maybe that LAFC might play a little timid, scared, anxious, but that wasn't the case. There were, besides Bobasi, there were no nerves in that first half at all. None. Everybody was playing confident, fast, and aggressive. Counter looked good. Like I said, the organizational skills of the back line in the midfield was so crucial, and you just don't see that from MLS teams very often. And I can't give enough credit to how good that back four was. I mean, really, it was incredible, man. And especially when you are playing aggressive, it can really leave you vulnerable back there, especially with the attacking talent that Chelsea has. But Dolo had faith in them. He had faith in them to hold their own, and they did, minus the one mishap by Hollingshead, who got caught ball watching. And but I just he let them play, and you could just tell a difference when he did that. So I thought this was one of it's so funny. People were like, "Man, how can you say this was a good game because they didn't even score?" But I mean, I think Dolo coached a pretty good game. It's one of the better games he's coached all season long.
No, he stepped up for it. He really did. And look, as much crap as we give, when credit is due, you got to give it. And I believe that Dolo deserves a lot of credit for this, because I guarantee, well, I don't know. I ain't in their position, but I would have a feeling that the Chelsea coach is looking at it and be like, okay, they're just going to park the bus the whole entire time. And then the first 15, 25 minutes, they're really trying not to do that. They're pushing forward. They don't want them to get deep into their box and stuff. And it was really good to see. And you're right, Will. It was a moment that they were like, yo, you could see Chelsea was a little uncomfortable. I mean, they're a giant, but they're not going to, they can overcome anything. But LAFC, it felt like they were on the forward foot, like really trying to make things that happen. And then, yeah, of course, towards the end, you just got to sit back and say, we're not going to let you score again. And this is how we're going to do it. And I thought he had a great plan. I thought he had the team really, really prepared. And I loved everything about it. Now, when we go into the lineup, I also did not want Bobasi to start. I wanted the Giroud to start, but I feel different than Edward, and I'm just going to make my case, Edward, and then the thing is I understand where you are coming from. I completely get it, and I think my excuse of not the right system is getting played out, and people are tired of hearing it. And I can understand that too. But I feel the last 3 games, we've actually seen good plays from Giroud. We've seen him score. We've seen him get assists. We've seen him make dummy runs to help get a score. That's not counted as an assist or as a goal, but he drew the player away to make sure that player gets that goal. Those are all veteran moves for me. And when he wasn't on the pitch, we only have 1 shot at target, 1 shot at goal, and none on target. When he comes in, we get 7. So for me, I felt like we actually did see a bit of a switch, and because he is a presence there. And to your point, I wanted to see the same thing. I wanted to see him come and play against his team. Something happened. He does score. He puts in that beautiful header that he does. And then everybody with the black and gold has a reason to say, this is why we brought him here. Look what he did in the Club World Cup. I wanted that. I wanted that fairy tale. But I also do believe that he brought a presence on the pitch. He made it where we did end up getting shots on goal because he is dragging that player over where Bawanga can try to take that shot. And I get it, it's not enough because nothing's going in the back of the net. We're paying him DP money, so we'd expect more. But I don't know if I'm completely sold that he shouldn't be here. I believe that if he was in a different system, because I truly in my heart believe that if he was to go back to Milan, he's getting another 13 goals. I really do, because they play to his style. And so I would just like to see some good quality passes into him so I could make that, he is completely washed. This isn't for him. Does that make any sense?
It does, but I mean, even when he does touches the ball, like it just feels like he's not making the players around him better. And yeah, like you're saying, maybe he is doing those dummy runs, like you're saying, but we brought him here to score. We brought him here to shine in the biggest moments, and he hasn't. So that really hurts us, especially because we're struggling to find another DP. So if he's not good enough, we have to go out and find 2 DPs because the one that we brought in is obviously not good enough. And I appreciate his veteran moves and all that kind of stuff, but you got to call for the ball. We need more touches from you, and we need you to make guys around you better if you're not going to score the goals. That's all I'm saying.
Will, Edward has a point though, because if LAFC, look, we've already seen LAFC struggle to make sure that we have 3 DPs, Will. Okay. And if that is the case that you end up letting him go, now you're in the search for 2 DPs. The likelihood of LAFC bringing in 2 is probably slim to none. So I see where he's coming from. But what are you seeing from Giroud? Are we as fans being a little harsh, or are you on the side of agreeing with him? And it's like, look, Nick, maybe you're trying to, make a round peg go in a square hole. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it? Is it just not fitting with LAFC, or you tell me?
Well, the thing is, it's like an injured player with all the potential in the world. You're like, man, if he can get healthy, he's going to be this good. Well, if he can just, get a couple games, he'll be this good. But eventually you're like, okay, we see what he can be or what he could be, but he's not doing it. It's not translating. So you have to give that dream up eventually. So even if Giroud is subject to a poor formation or bad talent around him, or just not a bad talent, but just talent that doesn't fit to his abilities. It's time to move on at a certain point. So just based on the way he's played, fairly or unfairly, if the rumors are true and he has an option that can be denied after the season, so you can wipe your hands clean of him in January, you have to do it. You have to do it because you just can't pay him $6 million a year for what he contributes. You just can't do it. So I think what LAFC have to do this summer, and they should have done before this, is they should have went out and signed a big-time striker. This team has never had a big-time striker. All of their goals, mostly in their club history, all came from the wings. Diomande is the best striker they've ever had, production-wise, and he was just okay. He was feeding or eating off of Diego Rossi and Carlos Vela. It wasn't because he was just some great striker. He was okay, but nothing too crazy. I think they got to go spend big money on a striker, and then when Giroud leaves at the end of the season, use that spot to maybe get another winger or another midfielder. But that should have been their priority, is to get, because I would like to believe if they had a big time guy who could, maybe a $12 to $15 million striker, who knows what could have happened today. Giroud is like 39, or he's close to 39 years old. And if he played on a team with a lot of talent around him, maybe he would still be effective. Like you said, AC Milan, but AC Milan's got talent out the wazoo compared to what LAFC has. LAFC's got to be strategic in what they spend their money on. He's not the guy, to Edward's point, to elevate his game around mediocre talent, or not just mediocre talent, but just less than talent he's used to. So you need to find now Denny Bouanga, even though he doesn't show up in big games, he does elevate it, on this team. He can elevate his play, take over a game. We've seen him do it many times. Carlos Vela can do that, or did do that for LAFC. Diego Rossi did. We never seen Giroud do that. He's not that guy. They need to find the striker who can do what those other guys have done. And I just think that Giroud, you try to play him and get the most you can, just so you can get the most out of your money, which you're paying him $6 million a year, but you can't count on him for the future.
Man, Edward, that does make me nervous though. The LAFC has to go grab 2 DPs this summer. What's the reality of that, man? Because it took us forever to finally get 3, and now look, we're back down to 2. You lose him, man. Now we're in the search for 2 again, and we know that they just don't ever really put that all the way together for the whole season.
Edward. Yeah, it's gonna be tough going out and trying to find somebody, because I think this whole time they didn't sign somebody is because they were hung up on trying to get Griezmann over here. And, I think Dorrington had all his chips in with Griezmann and didn't have a backup plan. And now it's totally backfired. So where they go from here, I don't know, because from what MLS can let you spend and who we can go out and get for the money that we can spend, I don't even know. But they need to bring in somebody young, somebody that's going to be able to move around and make the guys around him better. And if he's not scoring, he's got to be able to be fast enough to keep up with the offense and not, track back.
Flamengo just scored 2-0.
Yep, 2-0 now. Yeah, Flamengo, they're up now. They're looking really good. Like I said, they didn't hold back at all, bringing in their lineup. And this is what LAFC is going to play. I believe that LAFC has a chance to get out of the D group. But this is the game that I believe come Tuesday when they play Flamengo is the game that is going to be the chippiest. I believe it's going to be the most like what we're used to watching LAFC play when it comes to Liga MX teams. It's going to have that Leagues Cup feel, but with bigger stakes, right? Like I really feel like we're going to see so much chippiness coming from both sides because they're going to have so much to play for. And I'm really looking forward to it. But
former Atlanta United player, by the way, that's a former MLS player. It's where they got Luis Arujo, former Atlanta United player.
Nice. I worry about it, because again, I really wanted this with Giroud to come out, to be really well with LAFC. I've watched him for a long time. And I'm a huge Serie A fan, so I enjoyed watching him at Milan. I'm not a Milan fan, but I would love watching his goals and his highlights from there. And I was hoping that it would happen in the black and gold. So, his time might be coming to an end, but I still appreciated the time that he was here. But talking about older guys, and I thought that he actually had a great game, was Hugo. Reason we're talking about Hugo right now is we've seen like he might also leave at the end of his contract. So we might be looking for a new goalkeeper. As an LAFC fan, this is also a hard one to accept, Edward. Hugo was great today. Hugo was really good today. And I don't think that we make that stop. It wasn't even 1-0 yet. Big save by Hugo. I believe it was around the 23rd minute, if my mind, I can't. But huge save. I don't think any other goalie is making that save at that point right there. Hugo looked great, and to hear that there's a chance that he might not be coming back next year is also a big hit for LAFC.
Yeah, Hugo was looking great. He was looking like flashback Hugo back in his old Tottenham days. I appreciate what he came out and played hard. I appreciate that he controlled the defense from the back when we pass it back to him. When guys would get under pressure, they would kick the ball back to him and he would know what to do with it. He would tell guys to run out and kick it to other guys cutting up. And I really appreciate, I didn't know he could throw that far. Like, I really appreciate his throws. Like, this guy could literally throw like an 80-yarder. He could be like a quarterback for a team somewhere. But other than that, he really showed up today. I think that he was really solid for us. And he also was a big part of the defense. So, yeah, I appreciate everything Loris brought today.
Yeah, Will, I mean, you gave him a shout out during the live stream. You talked about how good he was, how, it was a big deal. I know a lot of people are like, an ex-Arsenal goalkeeper losing again to whatever. But honestly, I thought he played well.
Yeah, no, I thought he played well. And, obviously the back line helped him out, but he made some key saves. And I said during the stream, I think that's a big reason why the back line played well, is because they know who is behind them. World Cup winning goalkeeper, Premier League veteran. It kind of gives you a sense of comfort and confidence that everything will be okay if something happens. And hopefully they don't lose him. But I'm not really surprised, because when he came to LAFC, he took an absolute team friendly deal, like $350K a year. I mean, that's almost playing for free for what he's worth. I mean, he was making like 10 or 11 million a year when he was playing for Tottenham.
That's a rough.
But he wasn't playing though anymore, right? He was on the bench.
Yeah, he was, but his salary was like 10 or 11. But even still, even with that, him not playing at Tottenham, he could have went to the French league. He could have went anywhere else and probably made 2-3 million a year. A lot of backups are still making 2 million a year in Europe. So he came here to essentially play for free, just to try something out, to do something different. And Tim Howard, when he came from the Premier League to the United States, when Everton didn't renew him, he was a DP goalkeeper. He was making 5 million a year for Colorado Rapids. So he's making pennies on the dollar compared to what he could be making, especially for how good he is. He probably just wants to get paid. It almost reminds me of like Chiellini, how he came here and he really played pretty cheaply for what he could have maybe made somewhere else. Hopefully they can work something out. Maybe it's just negotiation saying, yeah, I don't know if I'll come back. And, maybe if you give me a little more money, I'll play. But it's got to make sense for both sides. I mean, they obviously can't give him too much money, but I think he has earned a pay raise.
I mean, I don't think anyone with LAFC would be mad if of course, you don't want him to be a DP, right? He's no Howard, especially with the age. He is a World Cup winner. You have the experience and the veteranship of him. But I don't think anyone would be mad if he went above 300,000. No one wants to get him all the way to $1 million. LAFC can't afford it, and that's going to take away too much to bring in. As we were speaking a minute ago, if we have to go and chase 2 DPs, then and you will have to worry about eventually having that extra goalkeeper personnel coming in. So you got to worry about that for later on down the road. But I just thought Hugo was absolutely fantastic, and very impressed with what I've seen from Hugo. Overall, this game for LAFC, what do you believe that this type of international recognition that LAFC did? Because for the most part, outside of Carson Trolls, people are really talking well about LAFC, even though it was a defeat. They're talking about the 1 billion to 5 million. There are 50 million. They're talking about how they held them, how good the defense was. But what does this type of recognition do for the club, Edward, in MLS in general?
I think this game really showed how much heart the guys in MLS have, even though they're not making the same kind of dollars as, other guys in other leagues. Today we were totally outclassed because of the pay grade. But I feel like with the way Chelsea scores, I think they're within their last 5 games, they've averaged more than 3 goals. So for us to only hold them to 2 goals was really good, especially their last game in the final where they blew Real Betis out by like 4 goals or something like that. So the fact that we only held them down to 2 goals, I think really puts more eyes and more respect on MLS soccer, that we can actually come out and not just get blown out and, just put more respect on MLS.
There it is. That right there, bro. That says it all, right, Will? I mean, it's true. If they're scoring 4 goals, 3 goals, and we keep them down to 2, big win for LAFC. But what does that do for the whole league, and what type of recognition does this put on LAFC, the black and gold?
Well, it gives the world audience who's watching this tournament a chance to see who LAFC are, see that they held their own, maybe didn't not necessarily not play to the same level as Chelsea, because Chelsea obviously has more talent, but they held their own and they didn't get embarrassed. Not getting embarrassed. A lot of people thought they were going to get smoked in this game. So when everyone expects you to lose by a certain margin, 4-0, 5-0, and you only lose 2-0, I mean, that's what's impressive about it. And that's why when I made our post game saying that they impressed, it's because, yeah, they lost, but they did better than most people thought. And maybe this gives people more respect of maybe MLS is a little underrated. A lot of people think it's not a good league abroad, but when you see them, LAFC, who is probably right now, as far as record, not necessarily quality, but record, they're probably like 8th or 9th in MLS right now, based on in the table, I think, if I'm not mistaken. To do this against the 4th best team in the Premier League is a huge accomplishment. And I said this, I think they had the best performance so far of any MLS team in this tournament.
I would like to wonder, I wonder how Don sees it. Is he saying, "Oh, we did this with only 50 million," or is in his mind he's saying, "Well, if they had an extra 50, or if they had an extra 100, how would we compare?" Like, I wonder. It makes me wonder, because he does some real questionable things, Don Garber. And we will just talk crap about him and tell him how crazy he is that he isn't changing the schedule or the money. But I do wonder, like, is he thinking, "Oh man, these teams don't compare in money wise, but yet they're still competing," or let's let them get more money and let's really go after this and compete? You just have to wonder, Will. And you've been very critical of Don Garber.
But I know what he's thinking, by the way. He's thinking, "Oh yeah, trust the plan, it's working." He's never gonna say, "Oh yeah, if we had 50 million more."
Never.
No, he's saying, no, that's not how he works. He's thinking, "Yeah, this is working. Look how much closer we are now." He's not thinking forward in a good, like, well, maybe if we just change this rule, we'll be there. He's saying, "Oh yeah, it's working, guys. Look at this, 50 million. We're doing really good.
We're doing good."
Exactly. So that's his line of thinking. Yeah, I just, I don't agree with him. I think we could do better than him. Now, me and you think that, and probably Edward thinks that if we had 50 million more, what would the difference be?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. But even if we had 50 million more, we couldn't spend it, right?
It would be so would be tied up in a dam, whatever else other things that they want to make up. Look, that's part of what we have to learn and love about MLS. You know what I mean? And we're working on it. We're trying to get it closer. LAFC is going to play. I don't even know who. I'm watching them for the first time ever. I don't even know their names. What is the name that we have? The team
Tunisia?
that we play Friday? What is it?
Oh, I don't even know their name.
Is it Tunisia? I think
Tunisia.
Yeah.
I've never watched them before. Today was my first time actually watching them play. And I'll be honest, they are not a bad team. They are not a bad team. So it is going to still be a challenge for LAFC. But I don't know enough to critique and give predictions. But from what I've seen and how LAFC played against Chelsea, I'm not worried about it. I think that we're going to be able to compete. Will, do you know enough about this team that you can give me a prediction of what you think the outcome will become?
So they are a team from Tunisia, a club or a country in Africa. They're called ES Tunis, and they go abbreviated by EST. I mean, I think they're pretty good. I think they actually won the African Champions League this past year.
Every year for like the last 6 years or something, I think.
No, that was Al Ali. That's the team that Miami played. But this is the team. This is the team I think that beat them more recently. They're a good team. I mean, I would say that they're probably close to the same level of what we saw Miami play, Al Ali. So they're good. They're a good team. This isn't going to be an easy win. LAFC are going to have to play better than what we like, and not just better about what we saw tonight. They played good in the midfield and the back line, but attack. They're going to have to play better in the front if they want to
more
be able
shots
to win.
On target,
more shots on target, more shots in general, right? And you can't just have one in the first half. This is a must win. If they don't win this game, it's over. No draw, has to be 3 points or it's over.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely must win.
Do you know anything about EST, Edward?
I don't. I even tried to look up their lineup, and I couldn't even recognize any of their names. And I've watched a little bit of African soccer, but these names, I've never heard of them. I've never seen this team. So, but then again, I know they're not pushovers, but we have to come out and really win this next game.
Here's the positive, though.
I think to make it into this tournament, no one's going to really be a walk in the park. Go ahead, Will.
I was just going to say that their club, we try to do this just to get a point of reference. Their team is only worth $20 million.
Okay.
Just to give a point of reference on what kind of talent they have on their team. Now, that's not the gospel and completely, the end all be all, but just to give a point of reference, LAFC, I would say, has more talent than they do, but they're probably a scrappy team.
From what I've seen in the 80 minutes that I have watched up and looked, they have been a scrappy team to hold on to a 2-0 against Flamengo, who I think is a really good team coming from Brazil. Again, the way LAFC stayed 2-0 against Chelsea, they're 2-0 against the Flamengo. I mean, I'm not unimpressed with them. And I don't want LAFC to walk around and be like, oh, this isn't going to be, because we might not know their names, Edward, and we might know anything about it, but we don't want to go in there underestimating.
No, we don't want to overlook them for sure.
No, because anything can happen in this game, right? And so we want to go in front for really trying to make this team uncomfortable and sort of put on a clinic, let's just say, let's showcase our guys, right? Because we did good enough against Chelsea. Flamengo is going to be a tough game, gentlemen. We're about to talk about it. So, as Will said, we got to make sure we get this win, Edward.
Oh, yeah, definitely. For sure.
So what about the Flamengo game, Edward? How are we feeling about that game, though?
Now, as far as Flamengo, I don't know too much about them because I don't watch too much Brazilian soccer. I know they got Jorginho. They just signed him, so they do have some names. I know one thing about Brazilian soccer is no matter who's on the lineup, these guys are going to come out with some talent. They're going to come out with a whole lot of discipline. And the names may not jump out at you, but these guys know how to pass. These guys know how to play. These guys know how to score, and they're going to play very physical. And it's going to be a tough match for 90 minutes for sure.
Yeah, tough match, Will. I mean, I'm watching it right now. They're up 2-0. Chippiness is still happening on the pitch. It's just what Brazilians do when it comes to soccer, right? We know the Neymars, and they roll around and they flop a lot, right? But also they're willing to get in your face and get that chip in, sort of try to get you out of your game, right? It's that extra playing on the field of saying, I'm going to give you that extra shoulder because I want you to get mad and worry about trying to hit me back as opposed to scoring the goal. And that's something that we will see a lot more in that game, Will.
And I don't want to, sugarcoat it. This is going to be a tough game. Flamengo is the number one. They're number one in the league right now in Brazil. They're at the top of the standings. They have a 20 goal difference in the league right now. LAFC are going to have to play their A game. They are going to have to play their A game. We talked about this EST team, Tunis, right? Saying that they're going to have to score. If they want to beat Flamengo, they're going to have to play defensively like they did against Chelsea. And then they're going to have to play offensively like we saw against Club America at the end of that game where Denny and Giroud were threatening and they scored. So they're going to have the best game they've played all season. Just to be honest, they're going to have the best game they played all season if they want to beat Flamengo. Flamengo is going to be the second hardest team that they played all year. I mean, when you're the best team in Brazil, that's a big deal.
So so with that said, you gotta play offensively like you did against Club America, defensively against Chelsea. So then whom are you starting? What are the front three that you're wanting to see there? And how do you make that happen? Who is the defensive guys that are going to put the defense there? But what is the offensive guys that's going to get us there of how we played against America? Will?
Well, I kind of like Edward's idea. I think that maybe you should play Bouanga up top so he can track back, help you out a little bit defensively. Because if you put Giroud up top, he's essentially just staying there. Like, I mean, he might give you a little bit, but not the full 90. I would like to see David Martinez start on the right because I love his quality. I think he's still young. He's not polished completely, but you just see the difference he made. He had some nice plays today, really nice plays. And, Chelsea's no scrub. I'd like to see the new guy. I like to see him. I'd like to see him play in this next game, maybe get his feet wet a little bit and just maybe build some momentum to the last game. That would be the front three that I would like to see. I want to see some speed, pace, threatening in the final third, and just keep that team on their heels. I feel like that's the only way you're going to be able to do that.
Not a horrible shot out. Kids coming from Club America, understands the magnitude of big games. Club America has a bunch of fans. They're rowdy. They know what they want. He can feel the pressure. That's not a bad shot out, Edward. I mean, we possibly could see him play come Friday and then have him ready for the Tuesday game.
Yeah, hopefully he comes in. It would be nice to see him, see what he could bring to this team. I would like to see Bouanga play more center, maybe in the striker, maybe in the wing, but have more freedom up front. Maybe more like a free roam, just be able to go on different sides of the field on the offensive end. But other than that, I wouldn't mind seeing the same formation, same lineup ran back again. I think these guys did a really good job, and I feel like with this chemistry and with having a game under their belt, I think they'd have a lot of confidence going into the next game.
Now, with Ordaz going out, we don't know how long he'll be out. Hopefully, it's not going to be long, but let's just say he's able to return by the Tuesday game. Do you bring him in and then find a way to put Martinez more in the middle, in the midfieldish area, Edward?
Yeah, I mean, I love Martinez, but I just felt like today he showed how he's like not disciplined enough yet. He on that one-on-one where he took that awful shot, I felt like it would have been smarter to pass it toward the center, play it, have somebody try to put a ball on it. But other than that, I like what Ordaz brings to this team. I feel like he's a special player.
Will, you were pretty high on Martinez, and you really are. But I was telling you, we've seen him get some real sloppy reds before, and then right after I said that, he did the one play. If he just looks up, he finds Giroud or Bouanga right there. Then we have a 1-1 game. At that point, it would have been a 1-1 game, and we know to come to find out that they end up scoring 2. It possibly would have been a 2-1, but who knows after we score what happens after that, if Chelsea completely gets on, falls off the wagon a little bit. But then right after he misses and doesn't pull his head up to miss Bawanga and Giroud, he goes down and makes just some crazy kick that wasn't even close to the goal. So, and I've seen people talk about having Martinez a little bit more in the middles, in the in the midfield. What do you think about that? If we're able to get an Ordaz back on the pitch by Tuesday?
Yeah, I think that David Martinez is a good midfielder too. I kind of like him more on the right wing because I think he's really good in space. I like him down the flank with his speed and his dribbling. I think he's a little bit too erratic to be in the midfield because then you're just begging for him to get maybe 2 yellows, like maybe a second yellow like we saw today, and get thrown out of the game. I wanted to hit on one point about running the lineup back because Edward's a little bit more positive about Abobase. If Abobase is a starting striker in either of these games, they're not going to get out of the group stage. He's just not good enough. He can't. He brings nothing in the attack. He made sloppy passes. He made bad runs. He didn't set up any of his teammates today. I mean, he cannot be the striker in either of these next 2 games. If Nathan Ordaz is healthy and you're not going to put Denny up top, you put Nathan Ordaz up top at the number 9 and put David Martinez on the right side. That should be your front 3. If you're not gonna put Denny up top, you put Denny, Nathan Ordaz, and then David Martinez on the right side. Abobase just can't score. It's like you're playing with 10 men. He can't score. He does nothing. Nobody sees him as a threat. He looked scared. He looked anxious. He was the worst player on the pitch today for LAFC, in my opinion. He was terrible.
First time that we've seen Cherundolo make such an early sub also. He has been notorious for waiting way too long. And it seemed like he was seeing what we were seeing with Abobase. He just was not playing to the quality that we expected him to play today. But his hands were a little tied. What is he going to do? Like Martinez went out, 2 games ago with a little bit of knock. I was surprised to see that he was completely healthy today. And then Ordaz comes out. Abobase was going to be in there regardless at some point early. If you know what I mean, it would have happened because of the injury of Ordaz. He was already in there, so now Martinez goes in there. And I think we're all under the same impression that now we are going to have a Giroud come in later as like that super sub. That's just probably the role that he's going to play. So if there is a front 3 for this Flamingo game that's going to start, I like what you just said, Will. I would love to see the new guy come, but if that isn't going to happen, Martinez, Bawanga, Ordaz, if Ordaz can go, would be definitely the starting 3. If not, if you got to put Abobase in there, it is what it is. You just got to get him a little bit more prepared. But when it comes to Flamingo, we cannot have any of them lackluster passes that we had today. We can't. They will take advantage of it, and it's going to be a lot more of a chippy game. I keep saying that for a reason, because after so many knocks, eventually you're going to get tired, and that's going to be a little bit more drained. Today, the game was not super chippy. We only seen them going at each other during halftime. The whole time. You never seen really anyone standing up looking over the other. You didn't see any face of, like, it didn't happen. In this game that just happened, it was through the whole entire game, and that's what I expect is going to happen with LAFC.
Now, do you guys think Abobase can't play better with lesser opposition? Maybe Chelsea was just too good? Or no?
That's a great point.
I don't think so, because if I'm not mistaken, Abobase started the game against Club America, and when he came out for Giroud, that's when things turned around. That's when they made the comeback and won. When Abobase came out, they scored 2 goals in 5 minutes, and it all changed when Giroud came in that game late in the game. I've been following Abobase for a long time. He's had 1 good season in his entire career with San Jose. He has always been lackluster, make a quick too late on his decision making. He's just maybe he'd be a good striker for a lower end MLS team. Honestly, I don't think he's a starting quality MLS striker in general. For your team, you guys could do way better. This is the definition of settling. Now, obviously, Olivier Giroud is supposed to be the guy. He's not the guy right now, So you guys are kind of making with what you have, but there are better options than Ebobisse. I would take David Martinez up top over Ebobisse. I would take Nathan Ordaz up top over Ebobisse. I would take Denny Bwanga up top over Ebobisse because he just isn't the guy who's going to like. I think that in Steve Shrundler's system, the front three have to be able to facilitate to each other. They have to be able to pass, move freely, and I just think Ebobisse is a momentum killer up top, and that any of the guys I named would be better than Ebobisse.
I'm not as hard on him as Will is. There was moments with him with San Jose that I liked when I would watch him, and I'd be like, wow, I think he would do good with LAFC. Today, some of the lackluster passes, I see where the frustration is, and it is true. We have seen when he did come off the pitch, things get a little bit better. But you can make that argument for a few people. You can make it with, not that Denis comes off a lot, but you can make it with Denis. Oh, he holds the ball too long. You can make an argument on for every player, but we are a team that is going for something huge, and you got to put your best foot forward the whole entire way, right? And so I'm not sure that he's the one that should be starting for the game against Flamingo. That's just as how you do for Giroud. It's sort of how I am for Ebobisse. I don't know if the speed is there for either one of them players to start. And as much as I like the veteranship that they bring and the knowledge of soccer and football, that needs to be later in the game. So if they come on later, I'm fine with that. But I want the young guns to be able to run and really with the adrenaline that's going to be going from the very start to be able to take that in from the young guys. And then towards the end, bring in those veterans. For me, it would be the Giroud that could actually try to change the quality of the play when it's getting sloppy at the end, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Guys, we hit our hour. Appreciate you all being here. This has been a fun conversation. LAFC will, the Friday. I think it's Friday at 4:00, if I'm not mistaken, or 3:00 my time, which is 6:00 LAFC time or LA time. Looking forward to it. LAFC will they're in the Group D. And this is the game, as Will says, make it or break it. Like, they have to get these 3 points. And Edward and I agree. These are the most critical 3 points that LAFC will face this in this group. And this is how they will get out. They get that win, and then they go on Tuesday, and they have a great showing against Flamingo. And then, boom, you've literally done everything that you needed to do to get out of that group stage, man. And so here it comes. Come Friday, will they show up the full 90 minutes like they did today? Because there was no disappointment. There is no disappointment on me whatsoever. Yes, it was a loss, but they showed up and they played well. If they play that type of ball that they did today, if they play the type of ball that they did against Club America, they win this Friday. They win. And that's what we're looking for, right? LAFC to progress out of the D group, and this is what they need. Now they need to go and play Tuesday also very well. Doesn't mean they get to sit back. They have to play lights out come Tuesday to prove a point. You cannot get killed on any of these games. We didn't let it happen against Chelsea, and we're not going to let it happen against them. That's just the mentality that LAFC has to come with this whole entire trip. And LAFC can do it. What we've seen, they have it. They have all the tools. And Dolo has taken this very serious and has the guys ready. And so kudos to him for that. Guys, thank y'all for being here with us. Edward, appreciate you coming and joining me here, man. I appreciate having you back on the Voice of the Black and Gold. Will, thank you for being here with me. Enjoyed the show earlier today. If you guys haven't, make sure y'all go check the recap that we did on Will's channel. And if you just want to rewatch the game that with us and we watched it, go back and check it out. But until then, we'll be back next Monday. All right, guys. LAFC, Black and Gold, baby. Let's go.